discovery. We embrace the unwavering belief that with passion, determination, and a spirit of resilience, nothing is truly out of reach.
My name is JJ McLeod, and today I'm inviting you to see the world through a different lens, one where kindness becomes the catalyst for building a truly inclusive world. Because kindness to me is not just a feel-good idea, it's a revolutionary tool that can break down barriers and build up bridges. I'm used to speaking on how we create inclusive spaces, but today I'm going to tell you my story and how I am 100% certain small acts of kindness can and has changed lives, mine included. At 8 years old, I realized my mom was changing the world as a special ed teacher. At 14, I volunteered and taught kids with disabilities how to play soccer at summer school. At 16, I met a friend with Down syndrome, and I realized she loved Britney Spears as much as I. At 24, I became a high school special ed teacher, and at 24 years old, and only one day on that job, I realized the level of advocacy that was needed. And I decided right then and there, it would be my Everest. At 27, I became a mom, which is still my favorite title and role. And at 29 years old and 107 days, I became an autism mom. There I was on the other side of that table, facing a reality I had never anticipated. At 29 years old and 107 days, I realized society's expectations for my son, a system of norms that quickly left us out. My family became familiar with that unspoken fine print, always expected to adapt to spaces not designed for us, always the ones having to fit in and feeling like a burden for simply showing up. We were loved by many, tolerated by some, dismissed by others, but deeply misunderstood by nearly all. That was my moment of realization that my advocacy work was no longer a job, an option, a 9-to-5. It was now my lived experience, my 24/7 and my life. That's when my belief that all of us is better than some of us, and it started to shape how I saw the world, because true inclusion can't happen if just some of us are part of it. So today I'm here to tell you two stories. Same family and same community. Both stories, the weight and impact are life-changing. So first, I'm going to tell you a more recent and traumatic story, one that underscores just how much work remains to be done. About 18 months ago, my 11-year-old son was having a hard morning transitioning to school, as he does almost every morning, this morning included. He was stemming, a behavior often associated with autism that can include repetitive movements and sounds, and to those not familiar with autism, it can look intense or different. But to my husband and I, it was just simply the way our boy regulates in this world. We decided we would keep him home from school that day, let him re-regulate. So we called in work. We both said we were going to stay home that day. We called school and called him an absent, as, like I said, we had done many times before. But that day didn't end like the ones before. An hour after I called in his absence, 4 police officers in bulletproof vests showed up at our door. They stormed into our home because the school had filed a report that we had an unstable and emotionally disturbed child in our home and we needed help. Not only was that not true, they bypassed disclosing that he had an autism diagnosis. There was a loophole in the education system, there still is a loophole in the education system, that allowed them to bypass that information, a loophole that resulted in deep and intense trauma for our family. After that day, reality hit hard. My son's way of regulating was seen as a threat. I had been here before with many families, helping them navigate situations similar, but now it was my story. I dug deep in the coming days, searching for anything to keep me grounded. I was feeling really insulted after 2 decades of educating and learning and teaching and training about autism and shouting about my son's needs from the rooftops to anyone that would listen. So I decided I needed to think of all the community moments that had embraced us. The moments like my neighbor texting me that my son made her smile that day, or the soccer coach when he was younger who understood that he would be tangled up in the goalie net the entire game, but decided to cheer him on loud and proud because he knew the value of his kind words. So this is where I tell you the second story. This is one of my favorite stories to tell. I want you all to imagine yourself in line at a coffee shop or bakery early one morning, eager to get in and out as quickly as possible. We've all been there, maybe some of us this morning, and in line in front of you stands a mom and her young son. He's about 4 or 5, and he's fidgeting. He's not staying in line. She's grabbing him, trying to pull him, and you're standing behind her and you're thinking, this is taking a little too long. But she finally gets called up to order, and you think, yes, hurry up, I'm next. But when she gets up to order, she doesn't. She turns to her young son and encourages him to order. And you think to yourself, why are you making him order? Just go, we're in a hurry. Well, I'm going to flip that perspective for you, and I'm going to share with you mine. That mom is not there for a muffin. She's there on a mission. Every morning, for years, she has brought her son to this particular bakery to teach him life skills most of us take for granted. Standing in line, practicing patience, saying please and thank you. These are not small moments for her son. They're milestones. She is working moment by moment to equip her son with the tools to navigate the world, to feel he belongs in it, so that he can eventually walk into a bakery or coffee shop, order his favorite muffin, and be a part of his community. And this isn't easy for her either. As she stands there holding his hand tightly, it's not just as a gesture of love. It's to keep him safe from the urge to run away. And when she gets to school each morning, she doesn't just drop him off. She has to walk him in, check in with his caseworkers, and advocate for him to learn in ways that best support his needs. In this bakery, she is doing the same, teaching him life skills, supported by that staff who have come to understand that. These bakery workers now know him by name, and each morning they wait with patience as my little guy builds up the courage to try and verbally communicate his order. They understand that he may not make eye contact, but he is listening and processing every word and gesture back to him. They chose to be a part of his therapy, to be a part of his growth. They chose a world where all of us being there is better than some. So after that traumatic day where the police stormed into my home, and I thought maybe this community still didn't know how to embrace us, I thought about the good moments, the bakery moments, the muffin effect, as I now call it. And I asked myself, why do those moments matter so much? Those moments matter because they are rooted in recognition, in seeing us not as other, but as a part of the community. They make me realize that kindness and connection are transformative. They remind me that if a few bakery workers can make such a difference in my family's life, just imagine what a world built on those principles could do. That is the world we need to build. One where inclusion isn't an afterthought, but a foundation. Where kindness is instinctive and where belonging isn't a privilege, but a right. When we ensure that everyone belongs, the possibilities are truly limitless, and it's undeniable that all of us are better than just some of us. Thank you so much.